for it on this computer. There we go. Okay, so quick recap of everything we've done in financing. We started with 4B. So 4B was all about compound interest and simple interest. And so if it compounds once per year, we're using this formula. If it compounds more than once per year, monthly, quarterly, whatever the heck, we plug that in for n. So now we introduce n into this one. And I mentioned it briefly, but if n is 1, like it's just the same as this formula. And we got compound interest that is continuously compounded. So if we do that, we have to use the little Euler's number. The little e is Euler's number. Last time, I think we went over savings plan formulas. So these, I think, I refer to these as kind of like the Rip Van Winkle accounts. You put some money in and you don't touch it. You just fall asleep. You're totally inactive on that account. These, you put money in and you keep paying, right? There's a sort of payment that you're making. There's a regular payment that you're making. And so that's sort of the big difference between compound interest and the savings plans. We did savings plans. I talked about how this is kind of the same formula. We just do multiply by the reciprocal, I think, and we get from one to the other. So if we reciprocate that big fraction, basically, I think we can put it on one side or the other. Total returns. Talked a little bit about that. That is absolute, that relative terms. That's what that is. That is like relative difference between your accumulated and your principal. We talked a little bit about annual returns. It's got kind of a wonky exponent. It's a fractional exponent. Today, we are going to use this thing over and over again. So I might have it on the slides you need it on. I may not. It comes up over and over again. So we will definitely be using this. The weird thing that this introduces is maybe like negative exponents. But a lot of these pieces should look very similar, right? Like principal APR over n, 1 plus APR over n. We got to raise this to some power and then do 1 minus. So there's that order of operations coming in again when we do things. But here they just want us to identify things. So they say loan terminology, consider the following loans. We borrowed 120K with an APR of 6%, which you're paying off with monthly payments of 1013 for 15 years. So for this one, we don't even need the formula because they actually gave us they gave us the payment. They did the calculation for you on this one. So they're kind of setting things up on this one a little bit to make things easy. So we're not even using that formula on the formula sheet, is what it sounds like. But if we wanted to identify, the first thing is the what? Amount borrowed. Oh God. I hope you don't spend too long on that one. But you borrow what? 120K. This is just basically asking you to pick off the information from the problem. Is basically what this is. Can you translate this English up here to Mathanese down here? Amount borrowed would be like your principal, right? That's your principal amount borrowed. P is what? 120K. My interest or my APR equals 6 point. You could even put 0.06. If you wanted to convert it to decimal, would probably be the best. Ooh, excuse me. The best thing to do. The number of payments per year. If we're doing monthly payments, guess what? We are doing 12 payments per year. N equals 12, I think is what that's telling me. The loan term, if I'm going for 15 years, this is giving me my Y equals 15. And the last thing is the payment amount. This is the thing, if they didn't tell us, we would have to go plug all that information into the formula to find it. But they were really kind of nice on this problem, and they told us our payment amount. And if you plug this information into the formula, you do get this number. I didn't realize they're giving us the payment at first, and I did that. So sometimes if you read the problem, you save yourself some work. So this first part is just, can you pick the information out? If you submitted something, I'll take it. But if not, you don't have to type all that stuff in. Basically, I just want to make sure you're able to pick that information out. I'm not typing all that in.
Professor, could you type the code in the chat so I could join the quizzes?
So I have the number here. I don't have the link
Oh, okay.
because it's not gonna let me copy and paste that link once I'm past that first page. I don't think. But there's your, there's your number 103096. Just that join my quiz. I think maybe if I do this and then do that number, it'll do it. But I don't know. The next part is where we're actually gonna start doing some math, I think. So that is just basically, can you translate and pick information off of there? Part B says, how many total payments does a loan require? So it's a two-parter. First part is how many total payments, and then the second part is what is the total amount paid over the full term of the loan. So I believe we are going 15 years, and we're doing monthly payments. So how many payments total is that going to be? We're doing it 12 times a year for 15 years is what we're doing. They're not asking for a money amount. They're just asking for what is like the total amount, total number of payments. How many times are you going to make payments? You're making payments 12 times a year for 15 years. Oh man, I hope we'll get this. What was it, 12 by 15? Last I checked, I think it gives me 180 still. Is that what we're saying? Yeah. Okay, so if you have 180 payments, and what's the other piece? Each of the payments is 1013. What is the total amount you're going to pay for that thing? In this setup, they do the setup quite a bit in this book. They're going to make us find the payment first. They were nice and gave us the payment, but I think usually from now on, like this first part A is going to be like find the payment. And part B, I think, is going to be very similar. It's like, what is the total amount that you paid? And then part C is going to ask about percentages. They really kind of like that setup. Okay. What are you all telling me? 182, 340. You're doing 180 payments of 1013. Multiply those two things. All right, good deal. And then the last part. So this part might be a little tricky. Of the total amount paid, what is the percentage? What percentage is for the principal? So I think this part is more straightforward. Maybe the other part is what I'm thinking about. But 120,000 is your principal. Where is it? I got it reversed today. Okay. So just a reminder, 120K is your principal, and we want to know what percentage that is out of what, 182, 340? I'm going to keep that right there. It's going to work for the next problem too. And do it to 2 decimal places, should be a percent. Was it like 58.61? Did I remember that right? $65.81. Is that what I said? I think I might have flipped them in my head. 65.81, 65.8. Yeah, that's it. It's 120 out of 182, 340. That's my percentage of the principal. If I pay 182 and my principal was 120, how do I find out how much of that goes to interest? So this is my total, and what 120 is the amount that is my principal. Then the amount that's the interest is the stuff that is not my principal, right? So if 182, 340 is my total, and I take away 120 principal, this should be giving me, what is that? 182, 340, and I'm not subtracting 120,000 is what, 62, 340? And so if I want to find my interest, I take my principal away from my total payment. It's because I'm basically paying two things when I pay a loan. I'm paying the principal and I'm paying whatever interest gets tacked on top. So I believe this is giving me 62,340. Now I need to figure out how much 62,340 is out of my total. So what percentage of my total payment is that 62,340? All right, I think I got to round this up to 2 decimal places.
So that 62,340, do you divide it by the borrowed money?
So by the total amount that you're going to pay back, which is the what? The 182.
So okay. Thank you.
We're going to compare it to the total amount that you paid. It says something like that in the problem too, right? It says compared to this amount. If I actually brought up the whole problem, I might look a little better. Of the total amount paid. So it even kind of specifies, and like usually of means division. So it's like kind of telling you to divide by 182 than the problem itself. If you can make those translations from math to English. That's it, 34.19. All right, let's come on. Come on, next page. Okay, a student loan of 100K and fixed APR 6% for 20 years. I think this is one that's got multiple parts. So first thing is to calculate the payment. Did I put that? So you are going to need that formula, and I apparently didn't put it on here. But you will need that formula from that formula sheet. That is the first thing. And if you look, I believe part B and part C are almost identical to that previous problem. Determine the total amount paid. So after we find part A, it should be hopefully easier to find part B. Hopefully it'll be easier to find part C. But we got to figure out payment. Oh my God. Check the fourth formula. There we go. Okay, so it's principal, APR over N. This one plus. So do you need his dollar amount over there? I need to share this thing. Principal APR over N. 1 minus 1 plus APR over N to the negative NY. Are we hitting it? This one is like, yeah, it's a hard one. What are you telling me? 71643, that's hitting it. Y'all got exact. This is nearest dollar. Y'all give me cents. All right, so hopefully what you're doing is not looking at the back of the book and actually trying this out. But this is our formula. Our principal is what, 100,000. Our APR is 6%. Our N is monthly or 12. I'm filling that in. The ones are there. My 0.06 is there. Minus 12 is my N, and 20 is my Y. So if we divide these things on top, we get 0.005. If we multiply by 100K, I think we're getting 500 on top. A lot of times you can get like a kind of nice round even number on top. And so sometimes it really works out to just kind of multiply these things through right off the bat. The other thing I have is I have 0.06 over 12. That's the 0.005. If I add it to 1, it gives me the 1.005. Now I'm using my calculator to do exponents. That's giving me a fractional exponent. So we have to do the exponents before we do the subtraction. I think a lot of people might mess up there and try to subtract these before they do the exponents. This exponent's only on this guy. Got to be careful. Got to do the exponents and then subtraction, and then we subtract. It should give me something like what, 0.6979. I divide 500 by that number. It should give me 716.43. Okay, so that is my monthly payment, is 716.43. Now if I want the total amount paid, and so I am going monthly for 20 years, and I'm going to pay this amount each time. In this, I want like to the nearest cent. This should be a good even number. I think if we use big, long, complicated formulas, if we have to use that payment formula, I did it to the nearest dollar. And if I'm giving you everything, I think I'm doing it to the nearest cent. Basically, it's kind of the rule I'm using. Are we getting this? It should be just multiplying those three numbers together, basically. I'm multiplying my payment by months, which is 12, by 20, which is the years. What are you telling me? Are you rounding stuff? 1719, are we getting it? Yeah, okay. So you got it or something, maybe you got, did you switch something? Oh, yeah, it should be 20 cents. Usually you put two decimal places. That's it. You got it. Student loan of 100K. What are we doing now? Of the total amount, what percentage is principal? So remember, my principal was 100K. What percentage is that of the total payments? Okay. No, don't do that. Okay. It should be a percent to two places. Give it to me in one place. I'm going to ask you if you're looking at the back of the book, because I know that's what they do. I'm a little more picky with the percentages, I think. 58.16, is that what we're getting? Okay. Good deal. 58.15. There it is. And then we want to find now what percentage of that was interest is the next question. I think there's two ways you could do this probably. So I think first you have to find how much of this thing is going to be interest. And then you have to divide what interest by this total. So it should look similar to what we did last time. There's at least two ways you can do this. And I think about it. So I think what we're doing is taking 1,000 off of here. So it'd be just a 71,943.20. And we're going to divide that by 171.93,420 and get 41.84. I think it's if you also do 100% minus that previous response we had, we know we're paying two things. We're paying principal and we're paying interest. If we add them both back up, we should get 100% of everything we paid. So that's also another way you can subtract the first one by 100%. Or 1 minus the decimal, however you want to do it. Okay, so calculate the monthly payment. Again, it looks like they're giving us all the information to plug into that formula. Now we're doing a home mortgage. We're doing 400K. We're doing APR of 3.5. We're doing 30 years. And I believe they say monthly. They don't say monthly, but there it is. Monthly payment. Sorry. Yeah, it's there. Thing about some of these problems is if you write out the work, for one, you'll have it for the subsequent ones. A lot of it like kind of repeats a little bit or somewhat in the book. They like to repeat. They like to tweak their thing that they just did, you know. It's like we just did this problem. Now what happens if we mess with this variable? So minus ny is 30. Okay. Six. And nearest whole dollar. Submitting. They're coming through. Should be loaded. Here we go. All right, I think he moved away from the front door. It's loud.
Oh, for this one, they ran to nearest dollar or 2 cents?
No, it's the nearest dollar. You're using that big long formula, so just the nearest dollar is good. This one's not the prettiest numbers, huh? It's got that 1166.666 repeating. That 2/3 thing happening. Well, don't tell me. 1796. 1796. No. Okay. So same formula. Now we're doing 400K, 0.035 over 12. And so this is 0.035 over 12, same thing. To the NY is 12. 30 years is what we're going now. We multiply those things, gives me minus 360 in my exponent. I divide, multiply these, it's going to give me this crazy number with this 0.6 repeating. If I divide these things, it gives me the 0.002916. I add 1 to it. So now the next step, I think, is I'm doing my exponents. Should give me something like 0.3504. And the last one is I subtract 1 from that, and I divide it by that 1166. Or I subtract it from 1, I guess I should say, right? Are you seeing where maybe you got off?
Yes.
All right. So I think I got what, 1796.18 from the previous problem. Now we want to know the total payment amount if we're doing it for 30 years. And so this one should be to the nearest cent. You should be able to give me like an exact amount on this thing, I think. Okay, I think they probably moved to the other building over there. Knock on wood. Okay. All right, so yeah, I was about to say this shouldn't take you too long, right? We got the numbers. We got to multiply 3 numbers together to get that one. No, what are you doing? Rounding towards places? I don't want. Six, 4, 6. This is yeah, okay. Yeah, round to the yeah. That's it. Yeah, I think we're multiplying the right things. Just rounding it to weird spots. Okay. And what's the next thing? Oh, the total. What percentage of that was principal? Remember, your loan principal is how much you're starting off. So you're going to start off with 400 out of the 600 is giving me, what is it giving me? 61%, 0.8586. That's it. And there are a few ways you can do this one, like I said. You could look at, oh, I didn't put the total amount here. Dang it. 646,624.8. Oh no, 646. Sorry, that's not it. What did I say? 646,624. That was my total amount. I know this much is principal. What are we doing, man? Like this. There's two ways to do it, right? You're either doing what, 246, 624, or you're either subtracting these two to get the interest, which is going to be 246, 624, and you divide that by that number, which is a long way to do it. But if I know the previous one was what, 61.85, 61.86, I could just do 100 minus that and get it as well. I think that's what I did in my calculator. I had the decimal and I just subtracted it from one to get the other side of it. Right? Yeah, there you go. That's it. Subtract it from 1, subtract it from 100 if you already converted it to a percent. Either way, it should all add up to 1 or add up to 100. Find the payment for the first loan. So this one, we have 3 different loans we're looking at. We're choosing a personal loan. You need to borrow $15K to buy a car, and you determine that you can afford monthly payments of $325. The bank offers 3 choices: a 3-year loan at 7%, a 4-year loan at 7.5%, and a 5-year loan at 8%. Which loan best meets your needs? Explain your reasoning. So I know they're saying that this is what we can afford as a payment. This is not a payment amount, so don't make that confusion. But this is the principal, this is the money we want to take out. And so the first one says, if we take out this amount of money for 3 years at 7%, how much are we going to end up paying if we're paying each month? So I think that gives us enough information to plug in. So we want to take out 15K. My APR is going to be 7% in this first one. Minus 1 plus. And to the negative NY is minus 12 times the number of years here would be 3. So you might notice in their examples, a house costs more than a car, which is typical. But not only that, your APR rates when you're getting car loans is going to typically be higher than when you get like house loans. Because when you get a house loan, you're putting it up kind of as collateral, right? If you don't make that payment, they take it back. So they'll tend to give you lower rates in longer terms with house loans because they're larger amounts that you have to pay back. If you go buy a car, I hope you know they're called Kelley Blue Book. You look up the value of your car, right, that you're going to buy. You put it in the loan calculator, probably is what I did. And then you still have car salesmen try to rip you off. Yeah, when I went to buy a car, the guy like tried to charge me like 2 to 3 times as much as like what he should have been. And I'm like, no. Like, I teach this for a living, bro. No. Like, why are you wasting my time? Oh, okay. So they will try. They will try. Don't get them wrong. Don't get me wrong. This is why you got to know this stuff, right? I don't know. When I went to buy my car, they said like the car is like usually the second most expensive thing this person buys within their life. A house is the number one. But I don't know. I think that's changing. I don't think people are buying houses like they used to. All right, so we're just doing this first one. We're not like, I know there's like 2 other loans here, but I'm just ignoring like all this other information for now. I'm just looking at what this 15K, 325 isn't relevant until I find out more information. So I think I'm looking at 15K and a 3-year loan at 7%. Yeah, but if you look at Kelley Blue Book, they give you like a kind of like a high and a low value for your reasonable value, so you know like a range of what your payment should be. There's no way they can really like. There's no way they're gonna really BS you on it a whole lot. You can tweak around the APR rate maybe a little bit, depending on what your credit looks like, but that guy was just like trying to tack on like extra stuff I didn't need or something. I don't know what he was doing, but like it was seriously like 2 to 3 times my payment amount. I think I was supposed to be paying 120, something like that, for my car. He was trying to charge me like 200 or 300. I was like, no. I'll go to a different dealership if this is like how you're gonna present it, you know, like. Like even if there was maybe like a little bit of legitimacy, like he was like doing these extra little programs in there, like he wasn't listening to like the customer, you know, like, which is kind of important. The customer is saying they don't want a bunch of extra stuff, they're just looking for a car. You don't waste their time doing stupid stuff. You're just going to irritate them. It's not very professional. Oh yeah, I got 2 more, and they look very similar right after this.
Mister, you can just skip the question. My calculator is acting up.
Okay. I know I got it. I'm pretty sure I got this one broken down on the next page. I think. Do I? Yeah, there it is. So we're doing 15K. If we do the top, we get 87.5. What'd you get? Did you get the same number? Are we getting these numbers? 87.5 for the top, 1.058833 to the minus 36 on bottom. Did I plug in everything right? I hope so. There we go. 87.5 we divided by that number. Should be getting 463. They said we could only afford what, 325 was the payment that we could afford. So right away we can throw this one out, say it's too expensive. The next one, same question. Now we are doing 15K and we are doing a loan that is 4 years with 7.5% interest.
So then do we run to nearest dollar?
Yeah, just the nearest whole dollar on this thing. Are you getting your computer back up? Okay, so if we do 15K, and now we're changing what, the APR to 7.5 instead of 7%. So if you write these things out, sometimes it's easy to sort of like just make the sort of little adjustments you need. Now we're doing 4 years, so I think that's what changed from the previous one. If we multiply the top, I get 93.75. If I divide this and add to 1, I'm getting this 1.00625 to the minus 48 is going to give me this number, 0.74151. I subtract that from 1, and I divide 93.75 by that number. This is giving me what, 362, 363, somewhere in that ballpark. This is still, I can only afford 325. This is still too expensive. And the last one. Now we are doing a 5-year loan at 8%. All the other information should be the same. Oh, man, I think I got this memorized now. Mhm. Is that okay? You're answering. Oh, there you go. On this one. I don't have that here. Okay. More problems. Are you getting this one?
Oh, I just barely got my answer.
Okay. So you got 303, 304. Tell me. 271. I'm not sure where the 271's coming from. If we multiply that top, it should give us a good even 100 on top. And this is giving me 0.006 repeating. If I do 5 times 12, it should give me 60. So the things that should change in here, I believe, are my APR. So this thing should be 0.08 now. So maybe you didn't change like one of these variables, probably either the APR or maybe you missed changing this from a 4 to a 5. If I had to guess, it's probably the one of the 2 spots because it looked pretty close. It looked like maybe you just didn't change one of those things. And so I think I'm doing my exponents next is going to give me this number. And then when I subtract that from 1, I'm dividing and then dividing it by 100. That gives me 304, 303, somewhere in that ballpark. And so this one is, we can afford 325. So this one is actually affordable according to their problem, according to their budget. Okay. Oh, look, calculate your monthly payments. Look at that. So we might have to use that formula again. They make this one really complicated. I feel like, suppose on January 1st, you have a balance of 10,000 on each of the following credit cards. So basically we have a principal of 10,000. We have an APR of 18%. And we want to pay it off within 1 year. So then we need to figure out what payments we would have to make. What's my principal again? 10K. Doing a principal of 10,000. APR over N is going to look like what? 0.18 over 12. 1 minus 1 plus. 0.18 over 12 to the negative 12 times 1 year. Okay. So basically, they're asking the same three questions that they've been asking, is what it looks like. Calculate your monthly payments. And then after we calculate our monthly payments, they're basically going to ask us for the total that we paid. What's the total you paid since January 1st? That's the same thing. And then the last thing is what's the percentage of that was interest.
So then do we also run this to the nearest whole dollar?
Oh yeah, this one's the nearest whole dollar because we're using the crazy formula. And the next one is going to be if we're making these payments of 917. And so this is the same thing we've been doing, but we're going to do 10,000. We're going to do 18%, and doing it for 1 year. I think everything else is pretty much the same from the previous problem. But we're doing this, dividing those two, multiplying, that gives me 150. If I do it with a decimal and add 1 to it, it gives me 1.015, and I'm raising this to the negative 12th power. When I raise this to the negative 12th power, it should be giving me this fraction 0.836. I subtract those two numbers, it gives me 0.16, and then I divide those by 150. And so 91680, I think, is what we're going to end up using. So for the next problem, there we go. One more person coming in at the end of class. How much would we pay total? So if we're paying that much, I swear the book is wrong, not on this one, but the next one. But maybe I'm wrong. So I'm paying 91680, and I'm going to pay that off within a year. I'm paying 12 payments of that, basically, right? And so it should be 1101. Yeah, that's it. Maybe I just read this problem wrong earlier. Let me make sure. What percentage of the total payments found in Part B is for interest? And did I not put that amount? It's 110160. Was the total amount. So that was my total amount. My initial loan principal was 10K. Oh, that's where this one's gonna be wrong. That's what I did wrong. The book's right. I was wrong, and I put the wrong solution in here. So I realized what I did now. I didn't put a percent on my solution. I'm definitely getting it wrong. Yeah, it should be 9.1. I have the wrong solution in there. Because we're going to subtract 10,000 from that. That's going to give us 1,00160. And I'm taking this number, dividing it by that number. And so it should have gave you like 9.1. So hopefully you got something like 9.1. Hopefully you got this one wrong because it was wrong. But we're dividing those two numbers. My principal by my total loan amount. I mean, my interest by my total loan amount, not my principal. Now we have a table to do. So this, I broke it apart a little bit. I want to start off and kind of show how to do the table, and then I want you to kind of complete the table. But the first thing I want to ask for is the interest in month 2. So if we look at how they got the interest in month 1, we have a 1.5% interest on this thing. 1.5 per month, 18 APR. So we're doing it 1.5 per month. So if our previous balance was what, 300, I'm doing 1.5 interest on the 300. So now if I want this one, I have to do 1.5 interest on the previous balance, which is that number there. And round this to the nearest whole cent. So to the nearest cent, and I want to do 1.5% of that previous balance, which is 179.50, is what I see there. So what is 1.5% of that thing? So the problem asked a few different questions, but first thing we kind of got to do is fill out the table. So what's going in the spot? And maybe even look at how they're doing this first month, right? The new balance is 300. They made a $300 payment. So what do we have? We have the expenses that we did this month. So they're making payments and they're accruing new expenses. And this was what they started with. So they started $300 in the hole. They paid off $300. But then they charged another $175. So we're going to get charged $175 plus the interest is going to get me here. Now we're doing what? 1.5% of the previous balance is going to give me the interest here. What are y'all doing? 1.5% of 179.5. Is that what it was? Really? We need a whole section over percent ofs.
Do we have to fill up the whole line?
No, I'm just doing this one spot.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure we get the pattern down in this first one, basically. What are we doing? You're wasting time, man. 1.45%. We're multiplying two numbers. Like we've done this. Like this shouldn't take that long. 1.5% multiply this thing. So 0.015 multiplied 1.179.5. It should give you 269. Okay, so this one they did something a little tricky, because if we look at this top line, you might notice they paid this thing off all the way. Here they didn't pay things off. So we started off with 179.50. And we only took off, what, 150 out of that. So I think that still leaves me with 29.50. And what do they call that? A outstanding balance or whatever they want to say. So I think I'm still have 29.50 here. I have 216. No, not here. I'm on text. I have 269 here. I got to add to it. So it sounds like I have the 29.50 here. It looks like I have 150 here, and it looks like I have 269 there. And those should all be contributing to how much I owe. So I'm going to owe what I didn't pay off. I'm going to owe anything that I accrued since then. And I'm also going to owe some in interest. My money sign. And this should be the 10 nearest cent. Give me what this should be. Okay, so where we at? Adding 3 numbers together. Should be able to do that. Let's do it. Okay. And it should be 182.19 if we add those 3 numbers together. And so shrink this a little bit. I think I shrink it. So this I did what 1.5% of 179, what 50, 179.50 gave me what 269. Mountain gave me 182.19. And remember, I got the 182.19 because I had 29.50 over in here. I'm subtracting these two. So getting this pattern down, first thing I'm going to do is find my interest. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to total things together. So in order to total things, I got to know my outstanding balance here, which is what? Difference of those two things. So I have to subtract the previous thing from this one. subtracting that thing. Gotta squeeze it all up in there to get the 2950. I'm subtracting that amount, and then I'm adding the 3 together to get to my new balance. And now I start this whole process over again. So the first thing I should do here is what? 1.5% of 182.19. And then I got to do the same thing. I got to add 182.19. I'm subtracting what? 400. So this, it looks like I'm going to have a negative number here. So I'm paying off more than what I owe. This gives me negative 21781. So I'm adding minus 21781. I'm adding 350. I'm adding whatever the heck this is. I hadn't calculated it yet. 273, it looks like. $2.73. And I'm figuring out this new balance. So I'm going to give you all a few minutes to figure out the rest of the table. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. This was at 273. I guess I'll give you all that. 273. And then when I do this, minus 217.81, and I want to add 350, and I want to add 273. 134.92. I feel like this is a fair question. This is something that, like, if you go into business, if you go into economics, just almost about any major, you're going to be making a table, sort of just to keep things in line. Okay. Are there any questions about how to fill out this table? Do you feel like this is something that you could do?
Yes.
All right. So the next step would be do what? Take 1.5% of this thing to find your interest here. 134 minus 500 is going to give us the outstanding balance that we have. We got to add that to the new expenses, and we got to add that to the interest. And so I'm going to kind of skip a little bit. You should be able to fill out this table, and you should show some calculations each little step of the way, hopefully. Clear my annotations. What other questions are they asking? Comment on the effect of the interest and the initial balance paid. So if we have an initial balance, if you leave a lot on your initial balance, your interest is going to be larger, right? So if you don't pay off what you're supposed to, your interest is going to be larger in light of the fact that for 7 and 8 months, expenses never exceeded payments. So you are paying off maybe more than what you're spending that month. but you had some left over from the previous month, which is still racking up a bill, right? You're still getting some charge for that. Okay. So you really want to zero out your balance each month. So I don't know why they're not doing that, but they're not. They might be paying more. 36, I don't want to do 36. I think that's the annoying one. It's like do half of it at this rate and half of the year at the other rate. I'm not a big fan of that one. So monthly payment, same problem over and over again. I think we're doing a 400K loan. We're doing it for 30 years. We're doing an APR of 8. I think that's everything we need to figure this out. So we are comparing two loans. We're going to look at monthly payments. We're going to look at total payments and discuss the pros and cons. So the first thing is, what is the monthly payment on the 30-year loan with APR 8%? Okay, where are we at on this one? This is the same thing we've been doing over and over again. Round it to the nearest dollar. Was it 29.35? It should be 29.35. We'll plug it into the formula. And what happens if we plug in? Are we doing monthly or are we doing total next? What order I put these in? Total payment for the same thing. So we do 29.35, and we're doing that for a 30-year loan. What's the total on that loan? $29.35 was the payment. Oh man, that is small. So we're making payments at $29.35. How much are we going to make in 30 years? Yeah. This. And now we need to find monthly payments for the other one. Okay. Are there still people? Okay. Everyone's still in class. What are y'all doing, man? Like we've done this problem over and over again. Trying to get through this homework. I don't. They should get 3708 when you plug it into the formula. And then if we do 3708 and we do that 12 times for 15 years, how much are we going to pay? Like, I'm not like, I really don't know what to do besides flip the class around, which means y'all are going to have to do homework all on your own. Like, those are kind of my options. I don't know. Because this isn't working for class when 4 people attend. And then, like, I have to wait minutes for people to answer stuff. Like, this is obviously not working. Which I guess is partly my fault, but like, yeah, I really don't know what to do other than flip the class back around, which is not favorable to anybody, but that's kind of like what y'all are deciding for me. So I don't know what to do. Because a lot of this stuff, and like I've said it since the beginning, like a lot of these problems should not be taking us this long to do. Like if you're here active in class, like this right here, we've done this problem over and over and over again. Like this should take you 10 seconds. We know the previous payment was 3708. That was the previous amount we did. We're doing 3708 12 times for 15 years. Should take you 30 seconds to answer this after you have that previous number, if you're active in here and in class and working. So I'm not spending forever to take this to go through this class. Like I don't mind coming and spending extra hours if y'all actually need it, but like y'all, it's like the work's not getting done, man. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm wasting my time. I don't mind spending time, but I'm not here to waste my time. There's a big difference. Okay. Another problem, closing cost. So this one, they introduced these things called closing cost, but we are still doing the same thing. We're calculating a monthly payment. We have all the information that we need to throw it into our formula. They're going to give us the number of years. They're going to give us APR. Closing costs aren't important for your monthly payment. So we want 120K, probably buy a house or something.
Are we doing something with the 1,200 or no?
No, not yet. So you don't need that for your payment. That's closing costs. Okay. I hope y'all do well on the test. That's all I got to say because y'all got a test next week. And like there's 4 people here. Yeah, I don't know. What's the closing cost if it's got a closing cost of 1,200 and no points? Hope y'all do well in life. This is the way you approach things. Just to be honest. Like, I just don't understand. Like, anything out there, like if you want to do it better, you got to learn math. There's not a single thing out there that you can't like that you'll have a good understanding of if you don't understand this. And like this isn't an advanced math. This isn't advanced algebra. Like this is pretty basic stuff. If you want to be a decision maker and not one of the people being told what to do all the time, you gotta understand this. Man, so what is the closing cost if your closing costs are 1,200 and no more? Oh man, come on, dude. That's what I'm talking about. If you're still here and hadn't answered, you probably didn't like go watch the lecture because I went over this in the lecture. Like, yeah, it is 1,200. That's it. Y'all killing me, man. That one's a straightforward one. Yep. And now, if we go into a 30-year, what is my monthly payment? Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I like try to open up the floor to dialogue too, and I get crickets. So I don't know. I'm trying to make things easy as possible for this class. If y'all got suggestions, I opened up the floor to dialogue. I opened up. I said, if this isn't the way I want to go, we can go a different way. Try to make it clear that, like, I don't know, man. Don't know. And I'm not trying to fill everyone, but like it is college. Like that can happen. I don't know what to tell you on that one. If you don't do what I'm asking and you don't submit work and you're not active and you're filling stuff, you will fill it. This should be
How did
5.
you get 500?
Do what?
How did you get the 539?
So plugging it into the formula. If we go look at this question, I'm plugging in 120K into the formula. And I'm doing what, 0.035 divided by 12 on top. On the bottom, I have something that looks similar, but it's like 1 plus, 1 minus, 1 minus, 1 plus. And I did do the 0.035 divided by 12 on bottom. And I'm doing this to the negative 12 times 30.
Oh, okay, I know what I did wrong.
So plugging stuff in. Did you see it?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. And then if that is our monthly, what was our monthly? Was it 53,539? Is that what our monthly was? Oh, never mind. Not even what they're asking. Closing cost. So we're doing 2 points. 2 points is talking about 2%. They're talking about 2% of your principal. So we're going to do 2% of our principal, and we're going to do 1,200 flat cost. Yeah, it should be 1,200 plus. Yeah, it's at 3,600. What are y'all doing? 2% of 120,000 is what? The 2,400, and then we add 1,200. Should be 3,600. Accelerated loan payment. Suppose you have a student loan with APR of 200. What are your required monthly payments? Suppose you like to pay the loan off in 10 years instead of 20. What would your payments be then? And then we're going to compare the payments. So we're going to take this loan and fill it into the formula, just like we've been doing with the rest, I guess. Did the wrong thing. Oh, I must put the wrong thing in. Whoops. Oh no, that's it. Which I get 270. 225 is on top, right? And then we're dividing that by like 0.83358715. And if we want to pay it off in 10 years, what is it? How's that payment going to be different? So everything should be the same, except for one thing. Instead of 20, I'm going to put 10 up there. Everything else about this problem should be the same. Okay. And I say we get what, 269 versus 380. So they want us to compare the total amounts you'll pay over the loan terms if you pay the loan off in 20 years versus 10 years. So I think we're doing 269, what is it, 269.92, and we're doing that 12 times for 20 years. And so I think this is giving me, let me just write it down. So if I crunch these numbers, I should be getting 64780, 6478080, I believe here. And if I do it for 20 years, I'm doing 38003. I'm doing this 12 times. Ooh, sorry. This one I'm doing for 10 years. And I'm going to be doing 45603. Is that what I'm saying? So 45603. 60. And so if I'm going to compare the total amounts, it looks like what? This one is cheaper. So why would you take this one? Because a lot of these things aren't clear cut. Why might someone take this one as opposed to this one? Because this one's definitely cheaper in the overall. Why would you take the one that's more expensive?
It's less,
Because
it's
you need
less expensive monthly.
Yeah, it's less expensive monthly payment. So maybe it's within your budget, right? Exactly. So that's usually like your sort of trade-off. Like one of them is usually, I want to say, is this just open-ended? It's just open-ended, right? Yeah, so basically, I think I had those numbers down and I wrote those numbers down and I already deleted them. But you should be able to find out the totals for both of them. That's what I'm looking for in this problem. So multiply by 12, multiply by 20 for that first one. Multiply by what, 12, multiply by 10 for the second one. So a lot of these, they might say like which one is the better loan or something. There's not really clear-cut answers all the time for like which one's a better loan. Student consolidation. This one is also open-ended. So this is what I want you to do for this one. We have done like this thing over and over and over again. And so I don't want to do this by hand. I want you to go out there. If you want to go to Wolfram Alpha, did I tell you about Wolfram? I can't spell anymore. Wolfram Alpha, they got a good loan calculator. I want you to go out there and find a loan calculator because being honest, like if you were to do this out in the world, you're probably not going to do. See, they got a good loan calculator in here. You're probably not going to do this by hand, if I'm being honest, right? You're going to do 10,000. So I want you to get some, like maybe some practice with like how you might actually do this thing with some technology. So did I think I put too many zeros in there. So if I want to do what, 10,000, I want you to find some technology and do this. You're going to have to put in 3 different loans, I think here. Calculate the monthly payment for each of them. Calculate the life of the loans. And then they offer to consolidate. Is it worth consolidating your loan? So I want you to kind of do this. Go find some technology and figure out these numbers and answer these questions.
So are we gonna use a loan calculator for this?
Yeah, you can use a loan calculator, whatever you want to use. I just want you to just like get a grasp of doing something that's not by hand, basically. Go use some technology for this one. And I want you to finish this one up. And I think this is the last one on here. So calculate the monthly, calculate the overall, and then they're going to like propose, can we put it all in one account and do a 6.5%? So I think for the last one, you have to add up all these things, right? 10,000 and 15,000 and 12. And pretend like you have it all in one account. That's what consolidating means. And so I think that's it. I think the last one was 54. And I think I just said no. Yeah, let's not do that. 54 is like the 13-month or something silly like that. It's like you're never going to do that in real life. That's a problem made for a math class. And it's just, I don't want to do it. All right, so that's what I got. Stick around for